But let's mark another news that we just got a short while ago, and that is the AMFI data coming in for the month of December. No doubt the record streak coming in for the equity inflows. But what's even more amazing the fact is the fact that once again you have the SIP inflow number for the month of December hitting a fresh record high level for the first time ever, surpassing 26,000 crore mark on a monthly SIP inflow number. We have Suranjana Borthakur, who is the head of distribution and strategic alliance at Mirae Asset Investment Managers, joining us right now. Thank you so much, Suranjana, for joining us on the show to break down the entire AMFI data and how should one read into this data. No doubt that we're seeing a very healthy, once again, record high levels coming in for SIP inflows.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me in the show. I think, this is very, very encouraging that in spite of market volatility, the SIP numbers have remained intact. In fact, it is seeing new highs, which is 26,000 and above. I think it shows the confidence of the retail investor for long-term wealth creation in India. And this is, because it is despite the volatility, I think the conviction also is very high. The good part is if you see from 1 year back, the growth has been almost 50% in the SIP book, which is somewhere around 17,000 crores about a year back. Now it has grown to about 26,000. So very, very strong growth there. I think when you look at the flow pattern, one of the categories which has seen a big jump is the sectoral funds, and it continues to get good inflows. I think almost 15,000 crores of inflows there that has happened. Which is where so there were also quite a few NSOs which happened in this period. I think about 13 NSOs which happened, which is where about 12,000 flowed in through that route. But that is somewhere, if you also see the small as well as mid cap, I think the flows have been stronger. Our reading is that probably going forward, the middle, the small cap, because there has been a little bit of return chasing which has happened in those segments. A lot of times clients investors invest looking at fast returns. Maybe once that tapers down, there could be a little bit of slowdown in flows. Our request would be for investors to always look at forward returns and not so much on the returns which have already happened. In the long-term India story, enough allocation in mid and small cap remains a recommendation. But obviously, flexi cap, multi-cap, which are categories also which are getting decent inflows now, will continue that trend. This may also be a year of, hybrid products, because asset allocation may be the story which will play out this year. Because in hybrid categories, the debt side, which was just doing the cushioning job, may be able to actually generate decent returns. And also the commodity part, which is gold especially, with the continuing volatility in global markets, is expected to continue to do well.
Like you said, that this could be a year of hybrid also funds allocation, given the fact that asset allocation is very key. And like you also touched upon the fact that the SMID entire space see much more healthier inflows when you compare it to large cap stocks. But what's your take on that particular segment going ahead? Because yes, month of December, despite the volatility, you saw actually good, healthy inflows coming for the mid cap and the small cap sector allocation. But what's going to determine the inflows going ahead into these spaces going ahead? Because you have now the earnings season as well this month.
Yeah, so as I've mentioned, I think a lot of times in flows in the market are determined by, the historical returns. What we think is that, when you look at portfolio allocation, while in any client's portfolio, each of the segments, large, mid, small, they have a role to play, and it will be as per the risk appetite of the client. But when you look at the long-term growth story of India, today we believe that mid and small has to have enough participation in the portfolio to be able to generate wealth. So like a 50% large cap or 50% mid and small could be a good allocation to have in the long-term period. If a person has a time horizon of 3 to 5 years. But yes, like I said, the thought process of the investor should be to look at not just historical returns, but the potential of each segment on how it should play out for the longer end. And therefore, even flexi cap, multi-cap categories could be great categories to look at this point in time, which will give you enough allocation in all three segments. And larger mid also continues to be an attractive category. But let's say an investor does not have enough standalone, mid and small also, this is, good time to take a call in this segment if you have that time horizon of 3 to 5 years.
Suranjana, also one very interesting aspect is the fact that you saw an increase in the sectoral actually funds flows as well. When you talk about in the month of December, when you compare it to the month of November, there is a very sharp, substantial increase, at least double of that. How should one play this particular theme, and any sectors that you can think in mind that will look attractive in the next 2 to 3 months, given the fact we have union budget also around the corner?
Yeah. So, the sectoral funds, like I said, the spike that we have seen is actually a function of some NFOs which had come in. But what has also happened in the market in the last few months is that, a lot of new ideas which have come in this thematic space have been invested by a lot of new investors also. Our thought is that when an investor, has a core portfolio and they have a satellite portfolio, usually thematic funds is a part of the satellite portfolio. When people chase returns or just a novel idea, a lot of times this may become a part of the core portfolio, which may be something that investors may want to watch out for. There is definitely a requirement of thematic products as satellite portfolio composition, but it actually should not become like a very large part of your core portfolio itself. We feel that from here on, when we look at themes, too much of a sectoral play is something that as a fund house we are not very comfortable. We usually look at decadal themes, which is where today when we look at the market, we feel consumption is a theme which is at a very sweet spot, which is where a lot is unfolding in India, which has not happened earlier. We see entire discretionary space looking at a comeback. So which is where consumption is a theme we are positive. We are also positive on the banking financial theme as well as the healthcare theme. These are some of the themes that we are more positive from a fund house point of view. But like I said, every thematic segment may have a representation in the portfolio, but overloading of any of the segments may not work well.
Point taken, but thank you so much, Suranjana, for joining us on the show to decode the AMFI data. And the big headline of that data definitely has to be that despite the volatility in the markets, you have the SIP inflow numbers that hit a fresh record high level once again, 26,000 crore rupees for the month of December. We've surpassed those levels. So yes, irrespective of the volatility in the market, the consumer confidence or the investor confidence still remains in Indian markets.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.